Testing. Hello, 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 hello. Ba-da-da. Okay. I think that's good. Let's take this off. But welcome. It's been a weird day. It's been a weird bit of life. I find myself trying to not figure out topics, but like, um, I find myself asking myself what topics would I want to talk about instead of just writing about, because I do enjoy writing things about my life that just kind of come to me. But I don't know. Today was weird. I saw a crazy thing. There's I live sort of in apartment complex type thing. Um, and the people across the street, they were arguing today or something, causing some sort of disturbance. And it was kind of funny to hear and listen to anyway. So the day carries on. Um, the day carries on, and I was sitting here. I don't know if I was eating. I think I was just listening to music and doing my normal thing after getting back from this orientation. Um, but I, I heard what sounded like giant basketballs bouncing down the street. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what the hell? There's like four of them. And I look out my window, and there's four people. I won't specify the gender for my own safety. Four people, no masks, just nothing, just pulled up from their car. All got out with like tire irons and baseball bats and started beating this car, not their car, but another car, just fucking in, like breaking windows and shit. And I, I just kind of like was like, what the fuck, I was like, four people, three people did that. I don't know. But I was like, holy shit. All right, take down the machine, But I was like, obviously, that's not what they're doing. They're beefing over whatever they're beefing about. These people are arguing about whatever they're arguing about. And kind of just got taken in a good, in a form that I like, because I hate machines. I hate cars. I wouldn't say I hate them, but I hate the way they're being used. I hate the overabundance of it. I hate the way the system is set up around it, where it just financially uh, financially jails you, due to car payments and insurance payments, and you basically have to have some sort of steady income just to keep your car, your transportation alive, let alone feed yourself, feed your family, find a relationship, find a family to make in the first place. Excuse me. But anyway, that kind of just, occurred. And it was like, I've never seen that before. I really haven't. I've never seen just people just go in on a fucking car and beat the fuck out. It was kind of funny. Um, anyway, hmm. It's been like I said, it's been weird for me. I feel like I finally fell into a groove of just like taking a breath and be like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what I want to do, and I know it's not going to be easy getting there. And I know I'm going to have to work out ideas and through ideas just to get to, not the next thing, but like the not the next idea, but the next horizon, maybe, get to that top of the horizon, just to go to another one, because I'm just sort of figuring it out, and there's no real end to the process of figuring it out now, but you can feel like you can breathe within your sort of world, and that's really relieving. It's like when you have your nose clogged up and you forget how to breathe, like how it is to breathe normally with through your nose, and you're like you just feel like you've taken it for granted, and you're like, holy shit, I miss breathing normally. um I feel like that's kind of the Molly. Hi, Molly boy. Hi, buddy. The cat came to visit me. I'll show you. Come here. Come here. Come here. Okay. He's not gonna come here. My cat Molly. He's he's not wasn't my cat in the first place. He was my roommate's cat, but he didn't really end up liking me that much until it was later. But I have a lot of cats now. Not sadly, but it's just what it is. They're a little noisy. But like, you hear that? I can't have that. Oh, don't touch that. Come here. Sorry. Okay. I hate when cats just find something to annoy you with. This is Molly. He's a big goofball. He's actually really nice and very sweet, but he's big. Molly. I hope my future self watches this and just laughs, but it's 3:25, right? I awoke to knocks on a door, and I thought it was my own. And I was like, what the fuck? Okay. Go outside, or come upstairs and go look. And there's cops knocking on the next door. I guess it's a domestic disturbance, just like men and women not getting along or bothering one or the other. But anyway, that also is happening. I'm noticing more and more people just not agreeing to live with each other or to be around each other. Okay. I was talking about the sort of financial aspect to traveling nowadays. But the financial aspect also affects pretty much everything else in life in this sort of day and age, which it's not fun. It really isn't. And I think when you're an animal like we are, with a mind attached to it, an ability to think outside itself, you have this instinctive, primal, animalistic side of you that you can't really hide. But you can observe. Not necessarily saying you can't and cannot control it, but most, in my opinion, have this inability to not observe their circumstances from an outside perspective. And what that means for me is it ends up being a very, very isolating game or experiment I have for myself in my daily life. When I interact with people, I see I try to tend to notice what they talk about first and what their mind is focused on. They're focused on, and then talking with a girl today, um, my neighbor actually, about just life or whatever, just chatting up, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm just focused on making that money this summer and taking care of my kids, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean that's reasonable. I can't hate on that, but of course it's money, right? It's always money." Every time I talk about money in this way, or the finances in this way, I think about my high school self. Not arguing, I guess more arguing out of arrogance or out of arrogance with my father and his girlfriend at the time, or where I thought I knew it all about money. It was like, oh, money's so stupid, man. I'm not going to participate in that. I'm going to go and do this and do it my way. And then, of course, life, reality. You come back to that present moment and you realize the forces at play that are going to get you to conform to that way of life, that way of making money and surviving within that system. But there's always that, outside perspective of like, well, this is so fucking stupid. Why am I doing that? But one of my favorite people that I listen to, not a guru of mine. I don't claim to have a guru or some leader or person that I just devote my attention to all the time. I like to listen to a lot of people. I think some people have better things to say, and I think some people have less better things to say. There's worse things to say. But a guy named Terrence McKenna talks about how we do not need to keep existing in the normalcy of ideas that have already been projected and presented to us in this momentous swing of culture and events throughout history. We do not need to keep entertaining that and just complaining and identifying and observing, right? I almost view it as like protesters who just scream and shout and observe things, right? Oh, you can't do this. You are like, you're really adamant about talking about what the situation is that happened and making in the public eye of, we could say the global village or just the public eye of the collective sort of notion of society that kind of is held together through the global village of aka the screens or the TVs or the phones. What I'm getting at is we need to come up with new ideas. That's what Terrence McKenna was talking about. Instead of existing in these old ideas and these bad ideas, if you say, or if you think, is to come up with new ideas and better ideas and greater ideas. And the first and only way to do that is to talk about it. Whether that's to no one, whether that's to someone in the future, whether that or not that's someone you're talking to in a public situation, it's to come up with new ideas. So here I am, coming up with new ideas, trying to. Maybe it's just reiterating some past things, which is, I mean, that's how you kind of work through things, is pick up where others leave off, and you don't necessarily steal their ideas, but you work with their ideas and you kind of form them. You kind of figure them out yourself. You play with the words, you play with the landscape of what exists. It's all a tool for you to kind of observe and come up with your own idea. And I think when you wake into that realization, most don't wake into that realization of like observing and creating something new, most, in my opinion, awake into the creative process of creating something, but find either they find either mental blocks or they find ways of existence to just sort of fall into. Um, and they sort of just fall into line with what's already happening, falling in line with cultures or niches or groups that are definitely making waves, but the wave already exists and they're sort of just running the same formula. I think my friend Cannon actually just helped me there. He said something earlier about people want a formula. You know, people want something that works and sounds good and gets their body moving. Um, and that's something that has been a constant workaround in a lot of my projects, where I want to just not think about it and go, right? No thoughts, just going, which ends up from an outside perspective looking in, can be named and can be put into boxes, but you yourself cannot be putting things that you create into boxes. And I think that is a major, not problem. You could say it is a problem for sure, but it's not a problem. It's just what it is. It's the way our society runs. It's the way the financial aspect runs our sort of world, or But the real, true nature of everything in the world is this moment. In my opinion, it's the present moment. It's the everlasting present moment that you kind of work your way into. And the present moment is a thing that exists everywhere in all places at once. And to really process that is to let go of processing everything. You can come to the realization that Earth holds, what is it, 8 billion people? But to think about every individual 8 billion people in the world, you're not doing, right? So to not think about it and to be inside of it is to not name it, really, is to not, um, is to not really exist within it. It's to just kind of go and think about, and not think, but to really devote yourself to that creative act. Whether it's this right now, me getting passionate at 3:30 in the morning about things I like, which I do enjoy talking about, and I want to work on. I want to work. Uh, I want to work on talking about these things because I know people. I keep wiping my nose, but there's my rag. I don't give a shit. I can't. I don't. None of you are here. I'm gonna read something from my notebook randomly. Sometimes it picks us up. Sometimes it picks up things that I don't always recognize myself. Hmm. A few things I was writing the other day. I wrote, "What is happening? I'm happening." I like that. I like you are happening. I was. This is an idea that I'm kind of working through in my novel, dystopian novel. I'll leave it at that. Um, but cameras are agents of time travel, dimensional travel. The greatest philosophers are often imprisoned. Minds have been imprisoned by outside forces. You need new vantage points, and you must use the vantage point to your advantage, not of the use of power, but of sight that sees all. Hmm. There's a lot to untangle there. Let's say the mind, as it is, can be imprisoned. What is imprisonment of the mind? To me, as I was talking about earlier, it's to it's to direct your existence from a mental vantage point, you could say, that is not questioned at all. That vantage point has never been questioned, and each time it's questioned, it's like um, what is it like? It's like disturbing a fucking baby when it's sleeping. You know, well, especially with the wrong person, or you could say the right person based on your perspective. But like, you disturb a baby and it fucking starts crying, right? You're like, oh shit. I didn't mean to wake it up. That's kind of what it's like when you have things that challenge your point of view, challenge your mind's imprisonment that it tends to love and know. You start fucking you're fucking freaking out. You're like, ah, shit, just you're crying for help, or your mom or your dad, and that happens throughout your life. Many times, and you're gonna cry to many things. You're gonna laugh at many things. You're gonna get angry at many things, but there is a way out of it. And it's not a way out of it. It's a way through it, more I should say, where you're not attached to your thoughts and you're watching everything kind of flow by, and you're seeing where your thoughts are kind of growing from, and you're noticing your triggers. What makes you sad? What makes you angry? What makes you do this? What makes you do that? And you create discipline for yourself. You're not allowing yourself to get stuck in these ways of thought. Ooh. I also believe that the thing I'm talking about, if you're still grasping it, is it's really kind of based on context of who knows how you operate. And even then, those sort of normalcies about how you operate kind of can be your imprisonment itself. I think Ram Dass talks about how to not get attached to your meditation or your spiritual practices, as well as not getting attached to not having it, because they too can imprison you. Of like sticking to a routine, you're like, oh, I have to meditate, and you're getting angry at yourself for not meditating or something, or you find it. There's kittens back there. Yes, I might show you a kitten. Um, now I lost my thought. Damn. Um, I don't know. Let's talk about what I also wrote. I wrote I talked about how cameras are agents of time travel, dimensional travel. And I also wrote the greatest philosophers are often imprisoned. I think the screen, cameras attached to the screens, and how you can kind of merge those mediums together at once and create this sort of global village of knowledge and entertainment, you could say, but information as well. It can also be a prison. It can be a lot of things. That's the double-edged sword of the screen. It has its uses. A lot, most of the time, it has its imprisonment. Um, that's a good. If you want to talk about imprisonment of the mind, think about how technology is set up in this day and age. It's 2026. If you're watching this in the future, look up what was happening in 2026 with technology. Um, how were platforms used, and what they were giving to the people? Everything online is battling for your attention. And in this age, it's all based on artificial intelligence, sort of robots and algorithms to kind of keep your mind within a certain perimeter, never going outside of it, sticking to the path and your walls. And that's an issue because if you take technology as the fundamental, or the screens, I should say, the computer and the phones as the base thing, it has nothing. Like, it has its commercial usages, maybe, or its normal usages, where it's like cameras, texting, calling, and then you have mediums inside the phone, like apps, social media apps, different sorts of apps, informational apps, entertainment apps. And within those social medias, those apps, those platforms, those sort of mediums inside the medium have their own mediums of culture and interaction onto them. And on these platforms, you can present your user you can present your user as a consumer or a creator, both at the same time, simultaneously as well. What ends up happening, we're all just consuming, and the creators are the dictators of the app, the medium, the social cues, the algorithm. And I do want to use the word dictator because it's a collective. I don't know if dictation is a word. I think it is. It is literally a collective dictation of an algorithm that you kind of categorize and sum yourself up into to get views and money and attention. And I haven't even talked about how attention is the new form of money. Obviously, there's money, right? But attention is the form. Attention is what makes everything everything. And now we have currencies forming online currencies, digital currencies based off attention. And people are learning how to financially make themselves successful based off attention. And what I mean by that is there's a trend, say something, a meme. That meme can make so many people money, especially if uh, it's spontaneous in the sense of, oh, I'm going to try this and post it randomly without any, proper setup, or you're posting consistently. Um, you just have the spontaneous idea of like, oh, I'm going to post this. And then all of a sudden 3 million people fucking see you. And your life literally changes. You're like, 3 million people, what the fuck? I remember my first ever performance, playing music. I was singing with a band. Really great time, really good people. And I remember before, right? Like I remember practicing the songs, and it was just us four, and like being inside the songs was so cool. And you got really cool moments of like the formlessness of just the expression of music and within yourselves and with people. And then I think there had to be like 30 people at this little country performance out in the boons, out in the boondocks, not boondocks, out in the boonies, Hickville. No, I'm kidding. Great people, great time. But there's like 30 people, 40. I wouldn't say maybe 40 people. There's a lot of people, a lot of drunk people. And we were playing these songs, and then all of a sudden, I had to get real comfortable with people viewing me, like instantaneously. And it definitely changed the way I sang or presented myself or whatnot. But it also occurred to me that in that moment, I didn't feel like a musician or a singer or someone who could do this successfully and make money off of it. I felt like a human expressing myself naturally. And once that ended and the realization of set in of what I was doing, what happened, I could definitely feel my ego sort of come alive after, because I was like, oh, people are viewing me. I had people coming up to me after, like, oh, you did a great job. And of course, everyone's going to say that when you're there. But it created a new sense of the world inside me. And that new sense of the world is kind of artificially happening through the digital medium, through the screen. And people are trading in the digital experience, the artificial experience, the unnatural experience for, I mean, that's what they're like, that's what, I don't know, I think I worded that wrong, but that's what they're using. That's what they're experiencing more than, the in real life experience of 30 people watching you play a fucking show. And that was life changing. Why having, thousands of people online view you, you get this sense of, oh, that's so cool. Your ego rises. But then you wake into the world, and then you don't have any, you don't have any, you're not competing. You're just going, you're doing your thing. And then all of a sudden 30, let's just say 30 people, real life people, are in front of you in whatever you're doing and watching you intently and enjoying it and celebrating you. All of a sudden your world and your concept of numbers and people change entirely. The vantage point has to change. Because this is a vantage point, the screens, your experiences within them, they're not real. It's just a vantage point that is overused. It's the vantage point that we're all kind of, looking at as a newspaper, as a political weapon, or a informational tool to get insight over another, or to win in a competition, to better yourself. But that exists already through the communication with other people in the real life world. And that's how you could gain information. Not properly, but that is another way to gain information. And to me, words and language are, they are alive in a way. And you can present language in a dead, decaying sort of way, which I think a lot of people exist in and have never been talked in in a live way, in a natural way. And that's a whole other can of worms. That's something else that I think is I'm sort of working through on my novel. My dystopian novel, I want to talk about it a little because it's really I need to talk about it just so I can write more of it, so I can get through it. It's there's a train, confirmation of some sort. I know I need more experiences in my life to finish it, if that makes sense. In a way, that scares me. And I think people come to that realization and then they remain in the fear and the contentment of what works. And I need to challenge myself to just finish something in that book, in this story I'm building, in this world I'm building. Because the people in the story also need to have new experiences, but also I do. It's a good way to express myself in a weird way. And if you just take a look out your window, you can. Cats are going crazy, but if you take a look out your window, you can see the overwhelming sense of unnatural contentment that stems from the screens that everyone is just soaking in and sucking dry. And they're just, it's sad. It's sad in a way. It's like witnessing a death of something and a birth of something new. "38 minutes. It's a long one. I don't like keeping these too long, but if you're witnessing this, watching this, keep going, keep writing. If you're my future self or whoever you are, keep going, keep writing, keep singing, keep creating, keep reading. Never lose curiosity. It is a great thing. It's a great tool. And it can save people. It can save yourself. Let's see if I have any lasting words of wisdom. I wrote this, I guess, in different sections. We are born into some addiction. I then wrote, integration is always the hardest part. Create alternatives. Mass-induced followings at an early age makes it obvious who is different. They tell you what you want to hear to keep you near. I started writing because nothing that was being told to me made sense. Keep going, visualize, and practice. Here lies decision after ink. I like that. Okay. Anyway, carry on. Beautiful people. Love you.